Welcome to the first biology session. Today I am going to deal with the human reproduction. Before coming to the chapter human reproduction proper, we have to know what is reproduction and which are the major types of the reproduction like that. Now, what do you mean by this term reproduction? Reproduction in the sense, it is the ability of an individual to produce its own kind. What may be the aim of reproduction? The aim of reproduction is to continue their generation. This is helpful in preventing the extinction of a species. That is the aim of reproduction. So the reproduction is mainly of two types, asexual and sexual. And of course, apart from this, there is said to be another one, that is vegetative propagation. That vegetative propagation, of course, may be treated under asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? The term itself implies that asexual reproduction is the one which occurs with no formation of gametes. You can say, for example, an amoeba, or even said to be a spawn, or even paramecium. If at all the body of an individual is cut into two pieces, that is called binary fission, or into many pieces, that is called multiple fission. Each part of an individual is able to develop into a new individual. There you don't come across the formation of the gametes as you observe in case of the sexual reproduction. And of course, asexual reproduction occurs only in lower forms, not in higher forms. So like the sponges, and even said to be the coelentrates, and even said to be the protozoans like that. Now let us come to the point, that is sexual reproduction. The term itself indicates that this reproduction occurs with the help of formation of gametes. Without gametes, you don't come across the sexual reproduction. So here the gametes in the sense, the male gamete is called sperm and the female gamete is called the ovum or egg. Whenever these two are said to be get fused with each other, then you are going to get a product by name the zygote. That zygote keep on dividing and ultimately produce a new individual. That you come across only in the process of sexual reproduction, which occurs in the higher forms, right from the all vertebrates and even in some invertebrates like the annelids or arthropods, the etc. and even molluscans etc. So that is the case of the sexual reproduction. The vegetative propagation, what I mentioned earlier, it is nothing but the process of stem cutting like that. If for example you take the sugarcane or a mulberry plant, if at all this is supposed to be the sugarcane plant with nodes and internode, this is supposed to be node and this is internode and again internode and this is node. Here, the stem is said to be cut into many the segments or fragments. But remember, each cut should possess the minimum of the one or two nodal regions. If at all this cut or segment of that plant is planted, you will get a new plant or a new individual. That is the process what we call as vegetative propagation, which is of course this stem cutting is nothing but a method of asexual reproduction. Now here in this chapter, we have to concentrate ourselves on the human reproduction. So that is said to be our specified topic. Now this human reproduction is, as you are aware, that man is supposed to be a viviparous individual. Of course, I hope you know the term viviparous. That is the process of giving birth to young ones. So if at all any individual give birth to young ones, then you can't imagine or expect the asexual reproduction. The only methodology or the method is supposed to be the sexual reproduction. And here the sexual reproduction doesn't involve only one step. The progress through several stages. So those stages now I am going to mention one by one with definition. First of all, it is said to be the gametogenesis. I told you what you mean by that gamete. Gamete is nothing but a sex cell or a reproductive cell which is haploid. It includes both egg and sperm. The production of both these two are together called as gametogenesis, but the production of the sperm is spermatogenesis and that of the egg is oogenesis, but collectively called as gametogenesis. The next step is said to be insemination. What is said to be this insemination? Remember, in the sexual reproduction there should be an intercourse, or we can call it as copulation, or even said to be the coitus. That is, both male and female individuals should be come in contact with each other sexually. During the sex act, the male individual, they introduce the male genital organ by name penis. That penis is said to be helpful in the ejaculation of the sperms into the body of the female. That introduction or ejection of the sperms into the female genital system is called insemination. Then comes, whenever insemination is said to be happened, now you came to know that the sperms are introduced into the female genital system. If at all the egg is said to be ready in the body of the woman by ovulation, then the sperm and the egg fused together in the fallopian tube of woman, which is even commonly called as oviduct. In the oviduct, there is union between the male and the female gamete. Both of them fused with each other. Suppose this is an egg and this is said to be the sperm. And now, even though there is only one egg at a time, the egg is surrounded by many sperms. Out of them, only one will enter into the egg and cause fertilization, whereas the remaining sperms which were surrounding the egg are get gradually degenerated. This results in the formation of a diploid cell by name zygote. That zygote is even called as fertilized egg, or even called as oospore. Oospore. The zygote or fertilized egg or oospore. These are all said to be the three terminologies which are used for the fertilization product. But the most common term what we use is said to be the zygote. The resultant product of this the fertilization is said to be the zygote. That means, what do you mean by fertilization? It is nothing but a union between the sperm and the egg, which are both of them are applied together, results in the product of a single diploid cell by name zygote. So where it occurs? It occurs in the fallopian tube of the woman. Then, what is implantation? Implantation is the attachment of the developing egg, that is the blastocyst, or even called human blastula. So at this stage, blastocyst, at this stage, the developing the zygote is get attached to the inner wall, that is endometrium of uterus of woman. Attachment of blastocyst to the wall of uterus is called implantation. It occurs usually between 5th and 6th day after fertilization. That is implantation. Next is said to be the gestation. Gestation means it is the period of pregnancy. The period of pregnancy in woman is said to be around 9 months. So the period of pregnancy is supposed to be the gestation. Parturition. Parturition is nothing but the childbirth or the delivery process. When once the zygote complete its development and led to the development of a baby or an infant, so then that infant or baby is ready to come out of the womb of mother. So that delivery process or the birth process is called as parturition. So that means all these 6 stages of development are there right from the production of the gametes and until to the birth of the baby. That the human reproduction involves all these 6 stages. Now, as you are aware that man is said to be a unisexual form. Unisexual in the sense, I hope you are aware that male and female individuals are separate. That is said to be the unisexuality. In human beings, you don't come across the bisexuality. Bisexuality is found in some forms like the Leonidates, where both male and female sex organs are present in one or single individual. But in human beings, you never come across such a case. So therefore, the man is certainly what? A unisexual form with the separation of male and female individual. So therefore, it is our fundamental duty to study the reproductive systems of both male and female separately. Now let us know about the male reproductive system, which can be abbreviated as MRS, male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is said to be present in the pelvic region or in the lower abdominal cavity. Where you come across the abdomen lies just below the diaphragm. So below that diaphragm, the region above the umbilicus is upper abdominal cavity, and the region below the umbilicus is said to be the lower abdominal cavity. That is nothing but this pelvis region This is our pelvis region. In this lower abdominal cavity or the pelvic region, you come across our male reproductive system. What this system consists of? So, for the sake of convenience of study, we can divide the male reproductive system into various parts. Thereby, this makes us to study the reproductive system very easily, and even we can understand it very basically. Now, the male reproductive system consists of the parts like testes. Testes are nothing but the primary sex organs. How many testes are there in man? There is a pair of testes. Where they lie? They lie outside the abdominal cavity. So these testes is found in a bag. So that is said to be that bag is called as scrotum. Scrotum is nothing but a pouch. In that pouch, the testes are said to be safely found. How the testis is? Each testis is said to be measure about 4 to 5 centimeter in length and about 2 to 3 centimeter in width. How it is? It is said to be almost oval in shape, not typical oval. Typical oval is said to be the egg shape. Oval in the sense, one end is said to be broad and another end is narrow. This is supposed to be the oval shape. This is the oval shape. But our testis is said to be almost oval, not typical oval. Each testis is composed of about 250 lobes, rounded lobes. They are called testicular lobes. So here in the diagram I have shown the testis that is found in the bag called scrotum, and here I have written only one lobule. So there are said to be nearly 250 lobules in each testis. And remember, each testicular lobule contains 1 to 3 functional units or fundamental units of testis by name seminiferous tubules. This is the one. What is seminiferous tubule? It is nothing but the structural and functional unit of testis where actually the sperms are produced. Each seminiferous tubule is internally lined by the primordial germ cells and Sertoli cells, elongated cells. The primordial germ cells ultimately form sperms, whereas the Sertoli cells provide nutrient to the developing sperm. That is the role of that seminiferous tubule. So, for example, this is the inner lining of the seminiferous tubule. Here you come across these are said to be the, now it appears like this. So, this is said to be the germ cell, this one, and this is said to be the Sertoli cell, and this is the germinal epithelium. Germinal epithelium as you are aware, it is nothing but a lining tissue or a covering tissue. Germinal, that is the one which involves in reproduction. So this is the germ cells, diploid germ cells, remember. And even the Sertoli cells are also said to be diploid cells. From these germ cells, sperms are produced which are applied. And these Sertoli cells provide nutrient during the development of the sperm. So this is said to be the testis. Now, I hope you have understood the testes where they are present and what may be the functional units of them and where actually the sperms are said to be formed. Now, if we look into the accessory ducts, accessory means nothing but additional. These accessory ducts include rete testis, vas efferentia, epididymis, vas deferens like that. Now you observe the diagram from each testicular lobule or from each testis. There are said to be minute the ducts by name rete testis. Rete in the sense network. They are said to be highly minute, or they are even called very fine tubules. All of them emerge from this, the seminiferous tubules of the testis. Then they join with the other set of the minute ducts by name vas efferentia. These vas efferentia emerge out of the testis and then ultimately join together or converge together to form a duct by name epididymis. This convoluted duct is said to be the epididymis. So this epididymis then opens into what is known as a sperm duct or vas deferens on each side. Remember, whatever I am explaining the ducts on one side, the same thing holds good even for the other side. So this epididymis leads into vas deferens or sperm duct, which run upwards or which run ascendingly and then run around the urinary bladder. And here it dilates to form what is known as the ampulla. So on either side of this vas deferens, there is said to be a pair of sac-like or bag-like structures called the seminal vesicle. The seminal vesicle narrows to form ejaculatory duct. Here I have mentioned it by abbreviation by name ED, ejaculatory duct. So ejaculatory duct in the sense, ejaculation means releasing of anything with a greater force. That is helpful in shooting the sperms into the female genital system. Remember. So then, this on either side, then this ejaculatory duct ultimately open into the urethra. Urethra is a duct of the urinary bladder. And below this ejaculatory duct, there is a single gland by name prostate gland. So this prostate gland may get enlarged as the age advances and even it may lead to prostatic cancer in the older persons. Below this ejaculatory duct, there is a pair of bulbourethral gland. Bulbourethral gland are even called Cowper's gland, who discovered the glands. All these glands can be referred as what are known as accessory glands. These accessory glands include seminal vesicles, which are paired structures, and then a single prostate gland and paired bulbourethral gland. All these together called as the accessory glands. So the vas deferens, the accessory glands all are get open into what is known as urethra. So from there afterwards, the duct can be referred as the urinogenital duct. If you only the term urethra is used, it is a short duct of urinary bladder. But if you refer the urinogenital duct, then it includes the urethra and even the genital duct. These two together form a common duct by name urinogenital duct. This urinogenital duct runs all along the length of the copulatory organ of the male by name penis. Penis is the male copulatory organ. This penis consists of two parts. The main part is called the shaft. It consists of a spongy tissue which is said to be essential for the erection of the penis. That itself is important for the insertion of it into female genital system. So then, this swollen part, that is the terminal part of the penis, is called glans. The glans is said to be covered by foreskin. So the foreskin is always said to be intact whenever the penis is not in erected position. Whenever the sex urge is said to be happened in a man, naturally the penis is get erected and the foreskin of the glans is get folded back. Whenever the erection is said to be come to the erected penis come back to the normal position, naturally the foreskin come in contact or come in intact with the glans. So ultimately the urinogenital duct open to outside through an aperture by name urethral meatus, which is commonly called as urinogenital pore. The term itself indicates that urinogenital pore means it is meant for the passing of both urine and sperms. But it is astonishing that it is said to be a wonder. Whenever the urine comes out, there is no sperm to come out, and vice versa. Now, let us know briefly the functions of each part of this, the various parts of the reproductive system. As I said earlier, testis is meant for the production of the sperms. And then the retail testes and even said to be the vas efferentia are helpful in conducting the produced or resulted products of the testes by name sperms into epididymis. In the epididymis, the sperms become functional and demotile. When they come into the epididymis, they were said to be non-functional and even non-motile. Probably they were in the stage of spermatids. But even here they are organized into the functional and then motile sperms. Whereas this vast difference of our sperm duct and the term itself indicates it is helpful in passing to the sperms. So whereas the accessory glands like that are the seminal vesicle, prostate gland, bulbourethral glands, all these glands are said to be the secrete certain products which are rich in fructose, calcium, and proteolytic enzymes. Particularly, this bulbourethral gland secretion is helpful in lubrication of the penis. The lubrication during coitus is said to be very important because it avoids the friction or it doesn't makes any pain to the sex partners. And then the penis is nothing but a male copulatory organ. So this male copulatory organ can be inserted, as I said earlier, only whenever it is said to be in the erected state. So this, whenever it is inserted into the female genital system, naturally the sperms are said to be ejaculated, that is, with greater force into the vagina or even sometime to the uterus. This ejaculation is necessary to make the fertilization certain. So this is said to be the role of the penis. So with this I can conclude, this is the overall summary of this male reproductive system with few hints regarding the function of each part of the male reproductive system. So one more thing I want to tell you is, so I told you in the beginning itself that the seminiferous tubules are the structural and functional units of the testes, as like the cells of the body or alveoli of the lungs, nephrons of the kidney, or even said to be neurons of the nervous system. Between these seminiferous tubules, there are said to be the what are known as interstitial cells, or even called Leydig cells. This is the scientist name. So these cells secrete an hormone by name male hormone or even androgenic hormone, which is responsible for an individual to become 100% male. So that is helpful in the development of all secondary sexual characters. Hence, testis is not only a sex organ, remember, it is even said to be an endocrine gland which secretes the male hormone, that is androgenic hormone, which is responsible for our greater skeletal growth and even development of the facial hairs, the deep voice and ability to produce the sperms and making us to become the father of the child. So that is the role played by the testes as sex organ and even as an endocrine gland. That is said to be regarding the human reproductive system, that too the male reproductive system. In the next session, I will discuss about the female reproductive system. Thanks.